people, it is I. So I thought I'd come on really quickly and I wanted to give a quick little demo on how ketosis actually work. So a lot of people heard about the keto diet and they're like, oh my God, you put butter in your coffee. And they really don't understand the concept of how physiologically fat can actually create energy for us. So, as you know, that there are 3 macronutrients. There is protein, there's carbohydrates, and there is fat. So, we're going to focus on 2 of those carbohydrates, which are the main ones that our body converts into energy. Of course, our body uses protein as well, but today we are going to talk about carbohydrates and we're going to talk about fat. So, let me actually go to my computer and pull up the video so I can see if you have any questions. That would be important. Okay, that way I can see your questions. All right, so here is my little demo. So our body has a preference of using carbohydrates for energy because it's really easy for the body to convert carbohydrates into glucose, which is a type of sugar in our body, and convert that into energy. So I want you to think of this, my little lady. When you think of energy, I don't want you to think of just energy for you to run and jump and play with your kids and go to work, but think of energy as anything that your body has to do to function. So it takes energy for your body to breathe, for your heart to pump, for your lymphatic system to work, for blood to go through your veins. All of that takes energy. So our body's first preference is to use glucose as energy because it's really easy for the body to convert glucose into energy. So glucose mainly comes from carbohydrates. So carbohydrates is not just pasta and bread, but carbohydrates is really in anything that is not an animal protein, right? And is not a complete fat like an oil, right? Doesn't have any carbohydrates. Chicken doesn't have carbohydrates. Beef, fish, those things don't have carbohydrates. But carbohydrates are in fruits. Carbohydrates are in vegetables. Carbohydrates, as you know, are in grains. So carbohydrates or glucose is not just the things that we commonly think about like bread or donuts and candy and sugar. Of course, those things are carbs, but carbohydrates are in lots of things that we eat. So our body takes that, it converts it into glucose, and the body uses the glucose for energy. Well, what happens when you don't have any carbohydrates? So let's move this little electrical line from our little person here. When we do not intake carbohydrates, and that can be intentional, like following a low-carb diet, or think of it in terms of in regular human evolution. If we were doing the time of, say, 100 years ago, and you only had to depend on the food that you actually grew and raised for you having something to eat, and it's at the end of the winter, and you've eaten all of your grains in the winter, it's lasting longer than it was anticipated, and all you have left is maybe some dried jerky or the animals that you have, and you have to eat that. What would your body do? Our body actually has a backup system. I call it your auxiliary metabolism. And what it is, I like to think of it as a generator. So there's 2 ways when you think of the way that a house receives electricity, right? We can actually receive electricity through regular electrical lines that we have connected to our house. But if your electricity goes out, then you have a generator. You may have a backup generator. So our backup generator is our body's ability to actually convert fat into energy instead of using glucose. So when glucose is not there, think of end of winter 100 years ago, you have no more grains, you have no more fruits and vegetables. All you have is the animals that you've been raising, right? They're fat and they're meat. Now, this is when the fat kicks in. Our body says, you know what? There's no glucose that I can convert to energy, even though I prefer that because it's just really easy for me. I can actually convert fat into energy. So your body, as you take in fat and it uses your excess body fat, it puts it inside of its generator and it converts it into ketones, and your body uses ketones for energy. So that is actually what ketosis is. It's going from using the very abundant and common glucose, cutting off those lines of glucose, that's the low carb part, and instead giving your body fat so it can turn that into energy and not use glucose. But here is the kicker and how people end up messing up when they are trying to do keto is you cannot do both of them. You have to do one or the other. The generator will not work if you still have glucose in your system to go in order for it to create energy from. This has to be cut off almost completely in order for the generator to kick in. So what happens when you are having glucose and you're having fat? Your body is going to store the fat because it can't use it as energy because it already has glucose and it only needs a certain amount of energy. We don't have an ability to hold on to an infinite amount of energy. It's finite, right? So that is actually how ketosis works. So think of ketosis as when your body no longer receives electrical energy from glucose. Instead, that has been cut off and your body kicks in its auxiliary energy source or its auxiliary metabolism, which is a generator that functions off of fat. So that's why a diet that is ketogenic eating uses lots of fat, not protein, because protein actually will create insulin and you'll still be in this system. We're trying to just have complete generator energy source. So that is a quick little how your body actually uses ketones or gets itself into ketosis. If you found it helpful, go ahead and share this video because I don't think a lot of people actually understand the physiology as to how your body actually uses fat to convert to energy. And that's me for the day. If you're looking for an easy, simple plan that's going to help you lose 10 to 15 pounds of stubborn body fat in 40 days, go ahead and check out mr40method.com, and I'll talk to you later.